How we doing, traders? And welcome to Money Mitch. We have a great show for you today. I'm going to be bringing it like I always do. We're going to go through some sectors to watch, some industries that are hot. I got a couple of stocks that are already on the move. We're going to talk a lot about them. Stick around. This is going to be a great Money Mitch. I got some great information for you, and a little bit at the end. Peak performance, guys. Stick around. We'll get towards the mental aspects of trading and how you can go ahead and get towards peak performance at the end. Stick around. There's some great stuff. Money Mitch. It's time for Money Making Mitch. When investors need a story, we're going to the moon. Welcome to Money Mitch, where story is everything. I'm here to find you the next opportunity. It's all about the green hands. Now, we all know the bull market is here to stay. Money Mitch. What's going on, traders? Welcome to Money Mitch. I'm going to go ahead and get right to it. Let's jump into the overall market. What are we seeing out there? Yes, you guys see all these numbers on the right-hand side. If you're new to the show, this is where we go through the sectors, the industries, and the stocks, show you how I work backwards in the market, not forward, going from macro to micro. We'll get into that. But first thing we get into is, of course, the overall market, where we're at right now and what we saw on the hourly. Let's go ahead and take a look here on the hourly. We popped up today. Really, we just kind of went sideways throughout the whole period. Now it looks like we're starting to pull back a little bit. I'm a little concerned here as we're pulling back, because we could come back and test down towards 435 and kind of go down there towards that 430 that we were at. That's going to be the question. Are we going to get tomorrow? Are we going to get a push back up through this 445, or are we going to get a pullback towards 440? I think we're going to get a pull towards 440 and then a lift off through 445. So right now I'm being a little concerned about tomorrow, but the following day I do expect some strong kind of reaction. Of course, we've seen some stocks kind of lift off these levels. Let's take a look here at the Qs and see what we're seeing there. And what we see there is just straight sideways action. I think that kind of shows that there isn't the strength that we expect to see in this rip. The big question is going to be tomorrow. Do we test back down closer towards this 366 and 365, or do we get back above 373? Today we got above those levels, but didn't hold those levels in pre-market. We'll see what happens tomorrow if it comes back down towards that 365, and that's the Qs. How we doing out there? What's going on? Looks like we got some people in the chat. If you're new to the show or just tuning in, say hello. I definitely love to see new viewers in the chat. I want you guys to go ahead and smash that thumbs, and let's go ahead and keep going in. Let's get into our sector analysis and see what we see out in the market. Of course, we had energy lead us from the open. I like to pay attention from the change from the open. That's what you'll see on this right-hand side. I'll try to make it full screen so that you guys can see it big here. Energy, of course, leading us. Some of those stocks you can take a look at. Some of the cheaper ones that were talked about today was CEI, GBR. Look at those take off. Those had a great day. MMAT was another one that took off. Meta Materials taking a good leap on up. And for that case, you could look at some of the oil names, of course. MRO didn't do that bad. Oxy having a good day. And you could kind of scroll up and see that there was a lot of names on here. Another big one, Rig's another one that kind of a cheaper name that a lot of traders were picking up today and seeing it trade on up. And I'm going to continue to see these trade on up as we see kind of these supply issues that we're getting in oil and seeing the lift that happened because of the shortage that is out there. Good day. How we doing, Matty Ice? What's going on? Panda Boy. How we doing out there? It's good to see some people in the chat. What's up? What's up? How we doing out there? If you guys got a stock you guys want me to take a look at, stay tuned. At the end of the show, I'll definitely leave time for ticker time. You guys give me a thumbs up so that we can keep going. And if we get to 50 likes today, we will hit that ticker time up at the end of peak performance. Let's go ahead and let's jump into some other industries and sectors. What are we seeing out there? We're going into the basic materials sector here, and then you can look at the right-hand side to figure out what industry do we want to take a look at. Of course, we can take at the leading ones today. We can take a look at coal. BTU is one of those that I'm going to be looking to see if it comes back, as we've had quite a good amount of pullback. And what the RSI coming back down towards 22, ADX showing you that crossover here. That's really when it flipped down and came and gave back all the momentum. We're going to see if it pushes back above 15 tomorrow. If not, it could be in a sideways trend for a while here, and I'm not going to attack it unless it gets above that 15. But there's some other names to take a look at. Look at this NC. Look at this day that it had, really trying to push on up. If you take a look here at the weekly, you could see that it's been trying to get through kind of these levels over here where you could draw a trend. The key is, can it keep going towards 40? We'll see what happens in this one. That's NC. And this is one that I haven't traded often, but this is how I find them. I don't need to know the stock also, because I'm working backwards, not looking at specific stocks and then trying to find the industry and then trying to find the sector. How we doing out there? FSR making a bounce. We'll talk about Fisker. I got you. I can get into it. Grow. That's kind of a cannabis push. It was a really, I think, a one-day kind of play yesterday. Not yesterday, last week. I actually called out when the cannabis were making a move on Friday, actually Thursday, and I expect to see Grow kind of get a little choppy here. If you take a look here, we did get a little pop up. Though. It was short-lived. It was that Thursday where it popped up because of other cannabis stocks. You need to see the other cannabis stocks lifts. But one thing that you do have now is multiple supports to maybe call the bottom off 25.50s, or if you want to scoot up a little bit more towards 25.76 or 75. We'll see if those hold for it as support and the Grow gets back up, pushing back up. All right, let's take a look here at some other basic materials. We had copper doing a good day. FCX was one of those that we were looking at to fill this gap. We called this gap out, guys. When did we call this gap out? We called it on, of course, from the 21st. So the 21st is when we were looking at this, and this was last week, Tuesday. Last week, Tuesday, on Money Mitch, we talked about this candle and to see if we could get back above 31.59 and go into the gap. What did we do? We filled that gap and more, guys. We filled it all the way up towards that 34. I'm pretty sure this was brought to you by the chat. Someone in the chat put that, hey, I saw a lot of options trading in FCX. What are you thinking that trade there is? It was the shadow to fill there, and that's exactly what we got. So that was you guys out there. So throw a thumbs up in the chat. That's what it's all about, and that's why you guys in the chat are so important. If you guys see something, say something, because I'll definitely take a look and I'll see what is there, and then we can move based off of that. As you saw last week, we talked about the exact level. As you guys can see, the highlighted tells you right there, 921. It doesn't lie. That's why I like TC. It saves the date that you drew that, and you can tell, hey, not a bad little trade there. It would have been it's not a monster trade, but it's a nice little fill. It's about an 8% move there in FCX. All right, let's go to consumer cyclicals here. Now we can talk about a lot of the areas that are moving. Some of the areas that are moving here are, of course, the auto manufacturers. The auto manufacturer is doing a great day today. We had a lot of these breaking out. And look at this weekly. This is why I like using the index, because you can see here what trend multiple times here coming on up. And then what did we do? Now we're starting to push out of this trend. That's what we want to see. Now the next thing is, how much of an extension are we going to get? Are we going to get towards that 2400? What's going to happen from here? Now we need to pay attention, because we don't want to retrace in here, get back into this block. Let's see how much we start lifting. So some of these names that are moving today, Solo was one that we were keeping an eye on. And now if you draw this line down, we're definitely going to see a $4 push. We'll see if it gets through that $4 tomorrow. WKHS pulling up today. These are some that I like a little bit more. PRTA, Proterra. This is a bus maker, but a SPAC. We'll see if it holds 1050 on pullbacks and gets up through that 11. We can take a look at Bluebird Corporate here, pushing back. Nothing really there. I see FSR. Someone in the chat was talking about this one. There you go. There you guys have it. Look at this one. This one pulling up really fast, giving you that fast action up. I would look for maybe a pullback towards 1530s, 1525s, and then look for a continuation move up there towards 19 or 20 on Fisker. We'll see if it gets on to that level. Arrival is another bus maker. So I would keep my eye on PTRA. If that one continues to run, I could also see Arrival making a move. NIO making a move up today. ELMS, Electric Mile Solution. Look for this one to make a run. This one isn't the biggest and the most known one, but if you take a look at some of these other ones that were running with this one, Lucy, Lie Cycle, there you go. LICY. Look at this one, guys. This one was pushing up in that same area. We'll see if these kind of keep going on up. We got a lot of these kind of making moves, these SPACs that have been ripping in certain industries. So take your eyes on these because I don't want anyone to miss some of these. Let's go to another EV area. NIO was one that I wanted to take a look at, but LI, definitely keep your eyes on LI because it could also start making a move. XPEV that we had on our EV conference last week. That one could make a move. I'm going to keep an eye out on these. Also, with that being said, LAZR is one I'd keep an eye out for, especially these kind of LiDAR plays to start making a move. This is one that I like that's going sideways. We'll see if it gets above 18 and starts making a move, and that's LAZR. All right, what's going on out there? Benjamin talking about the Lucid event starting tomorrow. Let's take a look at how Lucid did today. I have no problem with taking a look at that stock. Let's take a look at the hourly chart. That's what I wanted to see what we're going to get here. All right, so let me just go ahead and delete this. So if I could see the hourly, it looks like we keep trying to get through that 27, and it's a known area of resistance, right? Let's take a look here on the daily, see where we're seeing this kind of resistance come and where we could get breaking through. So if you can see, we had multiple resistance in this area, and I'm going to go ahead and draw it here. So it's this wick and the rest of the bodies here. You could draw it up towards, let's say, 28. And so 28 is a very important price point for this stock. You can see it gets up to that level, 27.85, then retraces. 27 today, it goes towards a high here of 27.27, but can't even close above 26. Right now we're at 26. That's the concerning part. You know, you're having these moments where it's pushing on up, but it really needs to drive through 27 with big volume if it's going to get through 30. And that's going to be an important one, Benjamin. I think it's one that I have an idea that it's going to push because of hype. But remember, this one's not pushing because of the revenue at the bottom. This one is purely on speculation and where it's going to go in the future. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go to some in the chat here. I want to knock some out here. I'm seeing Rublox mentioned in the chat. I saw some other ones being there, and even a question on Vail. I'll get to that question in a second, Ricardo. I did see your question there. Don't want to act like I didn't see it, but I'll definitely get back to it. Let's look at Rublox real quick. This is going to be one that I think is going to have a good winter months, but let's see what's going to happen here. All right, so we take a look at the daily. It looks like it's been trying to break out through 85 with a hard pullback right now. Had these multiple turnarounds where we looked for it to take off, and yet it went up towards the resistance. It got up there towards 90, but quickly came back towards the support, pushed up, came back, pushed up, actually broke below it for a second, pulling back now. Now we need to see it get back above 80 tomorrow, because if not, then this one was probably going to want to start breaking down towards that next support, which is down towards 75 or 73. I would look for a recovery of 80 looking strong tomorrow. So if we see right now, we just broke down through it, but you need to get it back above 80 tomorrow, going above 81. And then maybe you could hold 79 as your stop there, 78.65. We'll see what happens in Rublox. I like the stock. like the story, think it could have a good winter, but the real question is, can it hang on right here and get back through that 85, which is going to need to do in a hurry. All right, guys, another one that we can take a look at is Ford. Ford is a stock that Matty Ice is bringing up in the chat, but I have no problem taking a look at it because it has gone ballistic, making a great move on up after a fake out move down as we see this one gap down on those troubled days in the market, then really quickly push back up through the high. I think this is important to pay attention to. Also with GM, look at GM also starting to push back. This one can get back towards the high. That one's all the way up towards 63 versus what Ford is right now. But I do think you're seeing a strong reaction in these stocks. Look at Tesla today. Tesla pushing on up there towards 800. We talked about these levels multiple times. This 630 level was the best level that we gave. We sold at 690s here on Money Mitch, but we've been talking about this move to continue moving through 800, getting on up there. Now we really did hit a resistance. So we could see a pullback maybe towards 750 from here and then another lift on up. But as you guys remember, on Money Mitch, I gave out a target of Tesla at the end of the year at 1,000. And we got a couple months left. Well, we got 2 more months. We'll see if we're able to get towards that 1,000 in Tesla. But I'm definitely keeping my eyes on the Tesla Dragon. Just like I know you guys are out there looking at this move today like, maybe you should have taken a stab at this one. I remember when this one turned around here at 745, came back up through 750. If we always want to go ahead and look for that third resistance, so 1, 2, 3 resistance tries, when we come back up through it, which is we did on this big green candle, look for that to be the breakout and a continuation with pattern and volume. Look at the volume. Volume pop here. Volume pop. Volume pop. Not that much volume right here. And then when it comes up through that resistance, what happened? Volume through the breakout. It looks good right there on Tesla. Nice little breakout there on Tesla. All right, guys, time to catch up with the chat. What's up, Ben's World? You want to take a look at ChargePoint? I'll take a look at ChargePoint. I do like it. Nicki Minaj, what's up? How can you not have some Tesla at this point? I've had it. I traded it. I've made some money, Nikki. And, hey, who knows? Maybe I'll take a stab at it again. Now, I should have some in the long account, but, hey, I missed out this big old move, and so I kind of just trade it now, and we'll see what happens. But I know ChargePoint is one that I was taking a look at today to see if I was going to take a stab. So I can't blame you for taking a look at that one, Ben's World. I'm definitely trying to see what's going to happen with this stock. You know, what it really is all about is about the infrastructure deal, right? And so a lot of people are talking about the infrastructure deal, and this is why I think you're seeing the EVs and the autos really make a lift right now. And so we need to watch these to see what happens in the government, because that's what's going to happen. The government is really going to give these a lift. Once they get that perspective, then I think you're in the gold. One thing that I would point at is this stock got a lot of stock in a certain area, and I think we're going to go back towards that level at least. And so that's why I like the risk and return in this one. Let's take a closer look. So if we see here, what are we going to see? We're going to see multiple bottoms. And if we actually use, hold on here. There you go. All right, just trying to maximize it. It wasn't maximizing. Let's go towards the weekly. You see a support here near that 1966. I like that bottoming action of last week's candle, giving you that Harmy or hammer candle at the bottom. Now you just need to see this break on up. If we get a big candle on up, I think we can get towards that $30. And this was that candle that I talked to you about where a lot of volume came in. And where is it? It's near the support. So I think this is a big buyer that stepped up here and is looking for the next leg up on ChargePoint. I don't want to miss out on it. I'm pretty sure that's why Benz is taking a shot on it too. I do like this one. You got multiple bottoms. We want to see it get strong through 21, get back up there towards 23 and 25. This is that high that we need to get through, which is 23.80. That's where I want to see some more volume come back into the stock. So once we get into this level, we need to see some volume get back into that level so that we can see that this was a buyer stepping up and looking to take that push towards 30. This is going to be one that I'll definitely keep on watch. This is ChargePoint CHPT, and we'll see what happens with this one. Thank you, Ben's World, for bringing this one up. All right, guys, that's going to do it for our sector analysis. I want to go ahead and knock some stocks off my list that are on my radar. Let's go ahead and knock some of these off. These are not stocks that I'm trading right now, but stocks that I've also called out on live trading with Benzinga or pre-market prep. If you always want to stick with me, you can stick with me right here at Story Investors on Twitter. That's where I'll go ahead and give some stocks in between. And if you always want to get my trades, let me know, because, hey, I'm as transparent as can be here on Benzinga. There's not many people that give averages. That's what I do all the time. So let's go ahead and continue and take a look at some of these trade ideas. All right, so OSTK is one that I'll call out that, hey, it kind of sucks because it's already made such a big move, but I really started looking at this one on that Wednesday, and look how in about 4 or 5 days, it's just gone straight up. Reason why was a nice setup, nice sideways action. It was pushing on up. It had pulled back. You see that big volume bar like we just kind of showed you, and then a pull back, and then a push through. That's what I wanted to see. That's what we got here on Wednesday, and then I want to see that continuation go towards 90. That's where I think Overstock can get to, and of course, we're hearing the supply issues. Overstock going to probably get some high retail sales earlier in the season versus later in the season. And now you're starting to see that lift. One of the things that I pointed out was kind of the peaks and the troughs. 1, 2, 3. I'm looking for that breakout through on that fourth test and big volume to go through it to see if we can get a lift back up here towards the high of 120. We'll see what happens in Overstock, but definitely a setting up stock that I really am paying attention to right now. All right, let's keep going. Another one that I'm paying attention to is SPWR, SunPower stock. Reason why is it's really setting on up, has a sideways action for about, now we've had, let's see how long this is. This is about 1.4 months, so 29 bars, so a month and a half pretty much. And now we just pushed up through the resistance. Let's see if we can hold the resistance as support tomorrow, coming back towards 2272s, 2275s, and then pushing back up. We'll see if SPWR, SunPower, can get moving. And my target on that one would be up towards 30. All right, continuing on this trend here, let's go towards FSIL. FSIL had a good day today, and I like that one because you got this big volume bar again, nice gap fill, and then you also get right through the resistance. Now you're past that high, which was 754, so I would look for pullbacks slightly underneath 750 tomorrow to make sure that 725 holds on pullbacks and pushes through 750 again, and we get another lift through $8 and start moving our way towards 10 on FSIL. Plug is one you can watch with this one. I do think it's going to trade similar. If you look at this one, it is starting to come back, but it also has this downtrend that it's stuck in. It needs to break out of the downtrend. So we're talking about getting up there towards the $32 level and getting up there towards 35. So we'll see if Plug can get moving. This is PLUG, and I do like that setup. It's a nice setup, but the key is it needs to continue holding pullbacks tomorrow towards 28 or 27.57 or 50. That's what I would look for entries. All right, I got one more here, Bally, because I want to take a look at some of the gambling stocks, resorts and casinos, and you can see how strong this one has come back. I really did like it when it was down here towards 44. Now look at this, straight green days on up, so you might get a pullback. I will let you know, I'm looking for pullbacks towards 50. That's where you want to look at maybe for a potential entry. Why? Because if you look at the weekly, we've had multiple lows at 45 and multiple areas where we push from that 50. So if we can get in towards, let's say 49, 50, you could risk towards that 45 and look for a continuation move back towards the high, which is up towards 70. We're talking about a potential move towards 70. That's a 43% gain. And you're talking about a potential risk about 11% or 13% if you risk down towards 42. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this one. This is BALY. This is Bally Corporation. Also has online play, has physical casino, online play, and media all in one stop. To me, this is a very diversified play to play. All right, let's take a look at the resorts and casinos. You're seeing Playa hotels and resorts pushing on up. As you can see, nice little breakout through the trend. This is why I like weeklies, because if you look at this stock on the daily, you'd probably get confused. But look how clean it looked once it recovered that support and then pushed on up. What did it do? Test the resistance. Third try, pulled back, and then broke out. I'm pointing it out often here today, guys, that third push towards resistance, pull back, then break out. That's what I like to look for, and you're continuously seeing it on these charts. There's Bally pushing on up. You can see Caesar. Look at Caesar's in the last couple of days, really lifting on up and getting a nice breakout there. CZR. This is, I think, a lot to do with kind of the NFL coming into play and some people thinking that Delta's numbers are starting to go down here. BYD also pushing on up there. Win getting back a little bit. Not the best name there. LVS also giving back a little bit. Not those aren't the best plays there, but these are some plays that I've been calling out. Also, VAC. This is a very Marriott's vacation stock. It's been pushing on up. We talked about this one last. I think on Monday, or I'm pretty sure it was on Monday when we were down here towards 151, where we were going to look to see if it was going to get on up there. And look how it reacted this last week. Really pushed on up and got some major lift in this one. Penn, not looking bad either, starting to push back on there. MGM, really having a strong time, holding that pullback towards 40, then breaking out towards that kind of 46 period now. We'll continue to watch this one. There's a lot in the gaming industry that you guys can keep your eyes on for. GAMB, Gamble, made a move today. Look for this one to get back above 10 and hold 10. We'll see if that one gets back. That's gambling.com. IGT is one that I would look for it to continue going. I was looking for it to make a move when it was chopping here and the others gambling stocks were making a move, and look how this one's just taken off 17% in the last 4 days. So keep your eyes on that one. GAN is one I actually longed, guys. I'm actually long in this one. Going to keep long in this one. Actually got this one down towards 1550. So I'm right here in this area and looking for it to continue through 16 and get back up there to 18. And so you're talking about a trade of 16.5% for the upside, and downside look, I would see, I would hold towards 15, which we're talking about a 3.2% downside approach. What's going on, Scott B? How we doing on out there? Polly, what's up? Polly want a cracker? All right, what's up, Neville? Romeo, you want me to take a look at? I'll definitely take a look at Romeo. I got no problem with that. So these are some of the ones that I'm taking a look at. You guys saw one here that I took a shot on, which is GAN. Let's take a look at one more, Romeo here, and then we'll get into peak performance, where we talk about the mental aspects of trading. All right, so Romeo trying to come back here, and really, I mean, I think it can clear up towards the shadow. So you're talking about a low here. Let's take a look at this candle's 580. So I think you get towards 580, but I don't give it too much past that. Right now you're at 560. You're looking for a move maybe back up towards 580, but you could pull back towards 5. It's an interesting stock for a gap fill, really quick play up there towards 580 tomorrow. But other than that, I do not like the name Romeo Power. All right, let's keep going. What's going on? Florida in the house. Neville, what's up, man? Where are you from in the Florida? I'm from the 305. Where are you from? You got to represent. What's up? What's up? Sava. Can we take a look at Sava? I got no problem. All right, let's take a look here at Sava. Oh, look, it gave me save. All right, let's take a look at Sava here. It's going up there from the 60s. Ooh, it's a tough chart to read here because you got a gap down, but you already filled the gap, right? And so we've been looking at. I think I've shown you so many gaps today. There's so many of these stocks just doing these gap fills. Maybe it's better drawn with a square here. So you see this gap area. This is where you want to see it fill. But the question is, what do you get after that level? It's like a hard resistance level. That's what I would call it, because it becomes really tough to continue through there. You need some volume to push you through that resistance so you can get back up toward the next level, the 50-day moving average at 82.40. That would be the next step up. All right, Ricardo, I don't want to forget about you. I got you. I'll go into Vail before peak performance so you don't miss out. But you guys do me the favor. Looks like we got over 173 people in here. We started the stream with about 50. So you guys have been joining in. Do me the favor. Let's go ahead, smash that like as I get through the stock that Ricardo put right here. And you guys can always put stocks by hitting that like and throwing them right there in the chat. Let's keep it going. 305. That's what it's all about, Johnny. West Palm Beach, 561. Don't worry. Hey, I grew up also in the 954. So if you know that area code also, been there. Was when I was really little, I was up by Margate. I've done it all. I've lived in Orlando, went to school in Orlando. So I know it all over there. Look at Neville. Neville's from Miramar. You want to know how much I know Neville? Neville, I went to Everglades High School. Ooh, giving you the fire. Just down the street from Miramar. He's probably in my neighborhood. Who knows? 904. I loving all the Florida action. Let's get into Vail here. I did say I would talk about it, but man, this is a scary chart, guys. Biggest thing that I do is when I see charts like this that are just gapping down is pull the monthly. And then look at this. Look how you got these spikes, but it just turned away. So you gave yourself the shot for a nice breakout, right? Let's say if you were trading this on a real long-term scale and you saw this breakout from 10 and you're like, okay, yeah, that's going up through 20. But man, did it couldn't even hold there on 20. Let's see the daily, how it did there at 20. You can see here how you were kind of in this pattern. And let me make it bigger for us. So you can see how we were in this pattern. We were trying to break out. What is the rule that I give, guys? We do want to see 3 resistance tries on the 4th breakout, right? And so right here, you see what? 1 resistance try, right? 2 resistance try. Let me draw it here. 2 resistance tries. 3 resistance tries. And then the stock goes for a nice push. What happens? It gets to right here and it fails. Right here is where it just fails to get through that breakout where we should have seen that continuation move. And once we get that, it doesn't happen there. Guess what investors and traders are doing? They're getting the hell out. Why? Because they know when it comes back and tests support, you can easily break through that support and come down towards the next level. So the support there is clearly drawn out. It's right here. You can just look back at the candles and you can see that it's right there. When it comes back towards that level, what happens, guys? It breaks that level and wants to come back down towards the next support. So where does it go to? It comes back towards the prior resistance, which is tries to create as support. So here it goes and tries to hold this 18, pops up, and what does it do? It breaks it again here, guys. Just keeps coming down. This is what you call a falling knife. It keeps falling to the next levels of support, but it won't hold. And so if I had this stock, I would definitely get rid of it in a heart attack. I'd like, whoo, like now. But that's just how it is. Definitely, you got to know when to get rid of a falling knife. And this is one of those that I would call a falling knife. And I'd be scared if I was in VALE. But we'll see what happens with this one. It's not anything to scare you away, Ricardo, but it's definitely one that I'd be careful of. So that's the way it goes here. Florida in the house. You guys get it. It's all good. Let's see who else out here. We got River Run, Tamarack, Glade Central, powerhouse of football. Hey, I will say that Florida has some good football that they definitely enjoyed. I miss those Friday night lights in Florida. They definitely are fun. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get into power peak performance. This is when we go ahead and work on our mental aspects, right? We just worked on our technicals. We talked a little bit about some stories. We talked about some gambling stories. We talked about OSTK and the supply and demand that I think is going to happen there. We talked about maybe some reopening plays, apparel, oil out there. Now let's get into the mental aspects of trading and how you can capitalize on your peak performance. Today, we're going to get into a PowerPoint that I talked about, and it's all really about how to recognize when you're committing trading errors. We all commit trading errors, right? But you need to be able to recognize that and know how to capitalize on it. That's why we get into peak performance. What's up? What's up, Benzinga? How we doing out there? I know you probably just enjoyed us talking about some sectors and analysis, but now it's time to get into peak performance. What we do in peak performance is really all about getting into the mental aspects of trading and how do we best capitalize on that mental aspects to get towards our trading. So a lot of times trading is going to have, those emotional waves, and what we need to do is best our psychology so that we can be in peak performance. Peak performance is all about being in the zone, and how do you stay in the zone is the important part, because we can't always be in the zone 100% of the time. But one thing we can do is recognize when we're committing trading errors and ask ourselves the question, which is right here, is it trading errors or is it just probability? This is why it's very important, and why I like to say that, hey, trading is not necessarily always about winning and losing. For me, necessarily, these two words were, I was raised with, you either win or you lose. But the truth is, in trading, I don't think there's really a winner and a loser. There's just a trade decision and the outcome that comes from that trade decision. A lot of that outcome is going to come from the probability and the results coming from that probability, not necessarily coming from a right or wrong decision. So a lot of times when we lost, we think that we were wrong. And this is just not it. It doesn't always say that the exact thing that happened in the trade. You can be wrong on a trade and still make money, right? I mean, I know some traders that just wing it, and all of a sudden they make, tens of thousands of dollars. But at the same time, this is not a repeatable strategy. And one of the things that we need to do is come back to asking ourselves this question: and is it just probability, or is it trading errors? So let's go ahead and let's get right into that. You guys let me know in the chat if you guys have gone through these moments or have learned from this slide. All right, let's go ahead and let's get right into it. Looks like we got about 56 likes, guys. We want to get up to 100 likes. So if you guys could do me the favor, definitely smash that like and hit the subscribe below as I go through these. Hey, this is I take my time to do these PowerPoints for you guys out there. So the least thing you guys can do is hit that like, and let's keep going. First up, so the first thing we need to ask ourselves, and what's going on here, right, is the problem. Are the stats and the results not matching our approach? What does this really mean? And so a lot of times in trading, you need to ask yourself, so what really is the problem? What are the results telling you? You need to analyze your trade history. You need to know how to solve the problem. And how will you know that that problem is solved? These are all important questions to ask yourself when the stats and the results are not matching our trading approach. Let's go ahead and let's get into it. So, what is the problem? As traders, we all get into ruts. One of the key skills is going to be is to recognize when our trading has fallen off track. This is very important and key to any trader. So, what are the results telling you? So, you need to ask yourself, is the results telling me, is this trading errors? Am I creating mistakes in execution? Or is it trading probability? Is it just not going in my direction? Is the market just not in my favor? And that's going to happen also. So you need to analyze your trade history and you need to find common trading errors, or you need to find if your trading plan is viable to begin with. Because, hey, if you're executing perfectly and it's just trade probability not going in your direction, and you continuously see that it's not going in your direction, then we as traders need to make changes. This is when we have the opportunity to understand if our trading strategy is viable or not. Just because you back test something doesn't mean it actually works in the current environment. And so we're coming back towards this situation where you always need to analyze your trade history to either find out, am I making execution errors, or is this just a probability thing? So let's keep going. And so the next question is, of course, how do you solve that problem? Because if we can't solve the problem, then what's the point, right? And so we need to get back towards our strength and process. One of the biggest things is, of course, is understanding your process and understanding your strengths as a trader, so that when the times get tough, that's what you rely on. You rely on your system that's well defined, and you rely on your strengths as a trader to get you to the next level. Let's go ahead. And so the last thing is, of course, how will I know that this is solved? So it's a simple answer here. How do you know that the problem is solved? Is when the stats and the results start matching the approach. That's what we wanted in the first place, right? That's what got us into the problem. The problem that we saw was the stats and results not matching the approach. Once the stats and the results start matching the approach, we know that we've solved the problem on the execution if it was trading errors, and we know that the probability is going in our favor. And so when we ask ourselves the question, is it trading errors or is it trading probability? A lot of times you're going to say, no, I'm not making trading errors. The execution is high. And is trading probability going in my favor? Yeah, it probably is. But am I setting myself up for that probability? And that's the execution side of it. And the answer there is yes. All right, let's go towards the next slide here. So, of course, what can we do? And where are they going to be the errors? What are the common mistakes, right? I think, a lot of us need to kind of know, because we're going to run into these. So the first common mistake that we have is not holding to a plan. So always, we got to establish that risk and reward. And when you notice that you're not sticking to these points, that's a first common mistake. You'll start seeing it in your trading, and you can see it clearly in the results. Creating an inability to create consistency in your results, that's the biggest problem with not holding to your plan. Because if the goal is to become a consistent trader, you have to take consistent approaches. It's crazy talk if you think you're going to not take a consistent approach in the market and get consistent results. So let's go ahead and let's get back to this. So one of the things is you have to realize that once we start not holding to a plan, what does it really affect is that we lose the ability to make it back on the same risk and return type of trade. So a lot of times we're sticking to a profit and loss ratio, right? That's going to help us get into the probability, let's say 3-1, 4-1. And if you stick to that consistent system, then you can get back into the green with the next trade. But if we're not holding to the plan on that next green trade, you might just barely break even, or you might still be overall on the count red because you're not taking a consistent approach. And this hurts our mathematical probability in being consistent, let's say over 50 trades, 100 trades, 1,000 trades. And this is very beneficial to your trading if you can start holding to the plan and not making that first common mistake of not holding. I mean, at the end of the day, you're taking the time to make the plan. Let's hold to it. So another thing that not holding to a plan does is that it creates stressful trading as you start to negate yourself from the market information. What does this mean? So a lot of times in trading, when you stop holding to the plan, what are you doing? You're starting to look at the market. It's going negatively towards you. And then you're like, no, the stock's not going to keep going down. No, it's coming back. Let me just buy a little bit more here. What are we doing? We start negating the market's information that's right in front of us. It's right there. And we're starting to just, based on our bias, because we want the trade to go in our direction and we're not holding to the original plan, we want it to just go in our direction. We cannot negate what the market is telling us. If the market says get out, it's time to get out. And that's the only way that we can find consistency. All right, let's keep going. I got a couple more slides to get into. So I'm going to really quickly just kind of talk about what this is here. So if we take a look here at this chart, we're gonna see that what do we mean by not being consistent? So let's say if you shorted here where that red mark is and you had that line above you as the risk, you need to get out at that point, not the following risk spot, which is the resistance where we got out of this trade. It happens to the best of us. And these are actually trades that I made live. So the reason I copied these trades were because to tell myself, hey, you made a trading error here. It wasn't probability. It was a trading error, execution. We can't have that happen, guys. And so you need to understand, let's stick to the plan. And that's what you see here. All right, so let's go ahead here. As you guys see here, one of the things that happens also is willing to trade. I can't stress enough. If you're willing to trade, it's going to hurt so much, man, when it goes against you. And so we set expectations of winning or losing. We only set ourselves up for failure. A lot of the times when we're in trades, one of the things that we get is what we get this expectation. Oh, I'm going to win on this trade, or I'm going to lose on this trade. This trade is a winning trade. No, guys, there's no trade that is a winning trade. It's winning when we take the result and it's cash in our pocket. That's a winning trade. But we don't know the trade because we can't know the future. And so what you do is you just set up a trading decision and try to get yourself in the best probable situation. That's what we do as traders. So willing to trade isn't going to help, guys. One thing that is promised, that trading is uncertain. The only part of trading that is certain is, guess what? That the price is going to move, guys. And we need to start tying our emotions out of our trades. Because at the end of the day, the moment that we start tying emotions in our trades, which is what this line should have said, is that there's no way. You're going to hope, wish, do whatever you want. You can do a shrine. I mean, pray to whatever side you want to pray to. Guess what, guys? The market isn't going to go in your direction if you try to will the trade into your direction. It's not going to happen. We can want, wish, will, or even hope the trade to go in your favor, but it just won't go. So here's an example of that and willing to trade and trying to let it go. As you guys can see, couple resistance. What I like to see, guys, for the breakout, I went long here for the breakout. And guess what happened, guys? The stock went down a little bit to 945s, 943s. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy a little bit more. I'll buy a little bit more here. And then what happens, guys? The stock bounces a little bit, goes up to 945, 950, comes down towards 940. And I'm like, I'll buy a little bit more. I'll buy a little bit more. Next thing you know, what am I doing, guys? I'm just wishing. I'm just here at 940s, just like, please just go to 950, 1950. Just go to 1950. Just go to 1950. That's where you don't want to be, guys. We can't wish this trade to happen. It's just not going to work out. So another thing that happens often is trading outside of our strategy. A lot of traders, what do they suffer with? They suffer with over trading. They just want to trade everything under the sun. If the stock goes up, I want to trade it. If it's a dividend stock, I want to trade it. If it's growth, I want to trade it. Value, I want to trade it. Oh no, crypto's moving. Let's go to the crypto markets. I want to trade it. Guys, trading outside of your strategy, very easy way to get your consistency to just go, boo. I can't stress it enough. How many traders I know that have gone into consistency, work their strategy, and then in 1 to 2 weeks, they get out of their strategy and you just see their account PL just go whoop. And you ask them, what happened there? I traded out of my strategy. Perfect example. So trading outside of your strategy, what does it give you? It gives you impatience. It starts taking away your edge. Stick to what is working in the current markets. A lot of times what happens is you're like, oh no, these stocks are popping. I'm just going to take this stock because it's a moving. No, that's not what it is. You can't be the jack of all trades. Can't stress this enough. Guys, don't be the jack of all trades. Find trades that work for you and can be consistent. You don't need to know every trade under the sun. I used to think this way all the time. And I know that you're probably out there thinking, no, I don't try to trade every strat. I've been there. I know it. I've done it. So one thing we need to do is definitely find what works for us and get away from trading outside of the strategy. And always remember, taking away your mathematical advantage is what happens when you trade outside of that strategy. You need to keep probability in your favor so that you can see results that you want to see. Remember that consistency is not always just about the results. It's about a lot of it is going to be execution and consistency to your process. If you stick to your process and you're able to execute it and you've seen your process over time be profitable, a lot of times you're going to get that wave where, yeah, you can come down, but you stuck to your system. And because of that, you go right back through that high and rip through and break out. That's what we want to be doing. So last kind of slide here showing you an example here of trading outside of the strategy. This is the strategy that I like to do, but I like to buy based off of the VWAP, which is that yellow line that you're seeing here. What I actually end up doing is buying on this one, but no. Let me fix this. Let me correct this here. So what ended up happening on this one was a short on a bullish pattern, which is immediately a no for me. That's not consistent with my strategy. So this was a flag pattern, right? And end up shorting here where you see that red arrow and then getting out immediately where you see that green arrow on the trend line. That just shows me that what did I do? I ended up shorting a bullish pattern. Why would I do that? That doesn't make sense, guys. It's not my strategy. And so trading outside of that brought me inconsistency. All right. So one of the things that happens also, of course, is rushing towards profits. You're going to start seeing that, hey, if I'm rushing towards my profit, I'm losing all control of the positive side, the probability side. One of the things that happens is, yeah, we can rush towards our losers. We can cut our losers. But guess what? If we're not sticking to the plan on the upside, then we're not giving ourselves the mathematical probability that we need for all trades, not just this one trade. And so this is why I think it's important to remember not to always rush towards that profit. Yes, sometimes you're going to have to take some profit early. That's okay. Let's say if we're looking for $23 and we take 22.90s, that's okay. You lost 10 cents on the shares. It's not going to make too much of a difference. That's called being subjective at the point of profit. That's okay. I'm all right at that point because you're getting towards that profit target. The main thing is what I'm talking about is if you tell yourself, hey, I'm going to take $10 in profit here. and the stock goes up $8 and you're like, I need to take profits, and you take it at 8. It's okay. I mean, you kind of got towards that level, but you were looking for that $10. So you missed out on $2 of profit. That $2, you need to start calculating in your probability, because if not, then you're going to end up messing up that risk and return that you're working so hard for. So rushing to profit will definitely ruin your profit to loss ratio. It takes away your mathematical edge before you're using it, and you start to become a gambler. You start wanting to just take winning trades versus taking systematical trades. You miss out on the potential to win back the day by simply not sticking to your reward targets. What do I mean by that? Is if we stick to our reward targets and we stick towards that profit to loss ratio, as day traders, a lot of the times we might even lose on our first trade, but then next thing you know, we lose on the second trade. Boom, but we hit that third trade and we end up the day break even. And then if we had that fourth trade and we go into the green, next thing you know, we're into that green and into the profits. Why? Because you stick to the risk and return. If you don't do this as a trader, then you can't give yourself the consistency benefit and the mathematical advantage. That's what it's all about, guys. If you want to keep coming at it and learning some more stuff in the psychological game of trading, that's why I do peak performance. And the main thing is, what are the workable solutions? You need to get back towards the process, know your strategy, understand your risk and return, use key levels, and stick to the plan. Second solution, get back to your strengths. Rinse, wash, and repeat. Visualize that trade. It's all about visualization a lot in trading, and learning how to execute your strategy every time that you get it. So get back to your strengths. If your strength is like me, what I do best is work backwards, not forward. Let's start working on the sectors. Let's find the right rotation. Let's find the timing. Let's get it all right. Let's get all the variables right. And that's what gives you my strength into the trade. And remember that trading psychology is that you don't need to know what's going to happen next to make a profit. I can't stress this enough. You don't need to be a fortune teller to be a trader. You just need to understand discipline, understand probability, find that edge that works for you out there. And then from that point, start putting it to the work. And when you see the results are not matching the approach, go back to it and adjust. That's what it's all about in trading. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode of Peak Performance. And of course, Money Mitch, like always, you guys give me a thumbs up in the chat. I see we have 73 likes right now. That's what I wanted to see. Let's get it up there towards 100. I hope that you guys appreciate it. If you guys got something out of this, or you don't want to see some peak performance, you don't want this mental aspect, let me know in the comments. I'm here for or against, whichever one, guys, because at the end of the day, you guys run this show on Benzinga. It's not Money Mitch here. It's the Money Mob. I hope I see you guys tomorrow. We'll look at the market. We'll find some trading ideas. Like always, rewind if you missed some of our earlier part of the show. We talked about some trading ideas, some sector analysis, and I gave you even a play that I'm in right now. So like always, I'll see you guys on Money Mitch. Give me a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about the peak performance side, and we'll see you next time on Money Mitch.